Saving capital is one way, but another way you can do it is, let's just say, if you don't have all the money in the world, right? You don't have a job where you're pretty much breaking even right now. You're trying to just figure out how to survive because all your expenditure is so high and your income's not high enough. Figure out more ways to make money, which is option A, like you said, saving capital, or alternative.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here, the Embassy Podcast. We have Armani Anand, Harjeet Do, and Aftab Dillon. Today, I'm your host, Harsimran Maan, and we're going to tell you everything you need about buying a house. There's a long process that a lot of people don't know until they actually buy their first house. People get confused, so we're going to break everything down. We're going to talk about investing and everything we're up to right now. So let's get started.
Especially for all the first-time home buyers, by the way. Sorry to just cut in like that. But for all the first-time home buyers and for every single person that is literally at the fences, just hasn't got into the investing journey yet, this podcast is for you. If you don't know anything about real estate, if you don't know where to get started, why to get started, when to get started, and you just want to learn, this is the podcast that you should be listening to, because this is going to be covering everything in terms of how to begin to your journey in the real estate world.
Yeah, the process is going to begin by, as soon as you make a decision, like, you know what, I got to look into this, I'm buying a house, start prepping, because it's all about the prep work. Because you can't just go in and be like, I want to buy a house, and it's done. It's not as easy as that. Everyone here knows there's a lot of steps, a lot of precursors before you even start looking at houses. Everyone assumes it's like, I want to buy a house, let me start looking at houses. So where do you start, Harjeet?
Personally, before I started my investing journey, I had a plan in place. I was working a 9 to 5, and it all came down to saving money first. I saved my capital, and then I personally started off in pre-construction. But that is not the only case and an area you can start off in. There's many more routes you can take. You can go to pre-construction, multifamily, single family, and we're gonna break everything down and get to the process of what's the best route you can go to.
Saving capital. All right, so we got saving capital. Start saving capital, because without capital you can't buy anything, right?
Yeah.
Armani, what's step 2?
Or alternatively, you can also figure out how to raise capital. Saving capital is one way, but another way you can do it is, let's just say, if you don't have all the money in the world, right? You don't have a job where you're pretty much breaking even right now. You're trying to just figure out how to survive because all your expenditure is so high and your income's not high enough. Figure out more ways to make money, which is option A, like you said, saving capital, or alternative, if you want to fast track that process, streamline it, what do? You find somebody that has the money. Let's just say, if you might not have all the money, but you can find someone that has the money, you bring the knowledge. I always say that. So if you can find someone that can bring the money to add into your knowledge, let's just say if everybody has family members, you might know somebody in your family or immediate circle that has some money, but doesn't know what to do with it. You can take their capital. You, as a first-time home buyer, have an incentive that you can use. And we see that with a lot of our clients, Harjeet, right? One of the clients that we just sold to, which we're going to get into later on, they're first-time home buyers that watch our videos, watch our podcast. They're from Vancouver. They purchased a property digitally by having us as their boots on the ground. 2 partners. One had the money, and the other one had the first-time home buyer.
That's right.
And they invested together to buy a first property. So raise capital or save money is a first step. Second step is learn about what type of property or what type of investment makes sense for you. And how do you do that? What do you think off that?
Well, number one, if you're investing, it's a lot easier to know where, how, and what, because numbers only, right? You're going to go numbers based within investment. But when you're looking at first-time home buyers who are buying a house for themselves, that's what raises a lot of questions, because you got to take into account, where are you working? Are you working remote? Can you move? Is the area you're working in affordable for you? Because some people live downtown Toronto, work downtown Toronto, have to be within that region, but their affordability just isn't possible. But can you move, let's say, 40 minutes out where it's a lot cheaper, you can afford, and still commute to work? That's step number 1.
That's
Find out
point.
where.
Great point. So with that point, Harsimran, is this is a conversation that me and Harsimran were having, because everybody here is from the GTA, right? We're all from Toronto or proximity to Toronto. If I was to do this whole thing over again and start from scratch, start from zero, I would look to house hack. And when I say house hack, if I'm an end user, and I need to actually own the roof over my head and use my first time home buyer, I would house hack. But it's really hard to house hack in cities like Toronto. Reason why is because the average property price is $1.5 million, right? So if you're buying a property for $1.5 million, then you know you have to go to the outskirts. Now you're going to have to lose something. You're either going to lose the commute time, or you're going to lose the time that you're going to take to gather that income or gather that down payment to buy the property in the city that you really want to invest in. So move outwards, go to the outer cities. But instead of actually even buying a property to live in, and if you're living in a major city like that, I would buy an investment property first that can cover my rent for where I live. Because one way or another, you're still invested. So instead of buying a home right away, I would buy an investment property in a city far away, like Niagara Falls, St. Catharines, Windsor, Ontario, which we love. But those are some of the things that I would do. I wouldn't really look for my first-time home buyer to be used up in a city where I live in currently. Reason why is because too damn expensive.
Yeah,
So
you can use different cities as a lower price entry instead of your own area that you live in.
and
So
if you work from home, it's to your advantage because you can move anywhere now. Now you're mobile,
you
right?
can reach
So-
your financial goals much quicker.
Exactly, because you can move to a city like St. Catharines, which is about an hour away from the GTA. But what that enables you to do is it gives you a product that you can buy, which is called multifamily. And that's what I would do. I would buy multifamily with ideally 2 or 4 units. If I can find a fourplex, you can buy it in a residential mortgage and still claim your first-time home buyer. Fourplex, for any of those that are just tuning in, is what, Harsimran? What is a fourplex?
Fourplex is a property that actually has 4 units, right? It's multifamily. So you have duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes. Obviously, you cash flow higher with how many more properties you have, how many more units you have. And up to 5, you're still classified as residential. Over 5, you start getting into a different kind of mortgage unit where you have to do commercial. It's a little bit harder. You need more down, right?
Right.
So I think, like going off your point, right now the best thing to come out of COVID was everyone worked into working from home, right? Everybody
Yeah.
moved into that sort of working from home. Company realized they can save money not having to rent office spaces, right? So a lot of people started moving outside of downtown Toronto. There's no point living downtown when you're not working downtown.
Because cost of living was way too high.
Extremely high, right?
Yeah.
So you're now able to get your laptop, get your desktop, and move your office wherever you want. So yeah, I wouldn't waste my first-time home buyer incentive on a property I'm living in. What I did in Windsor was get a duplex first, rented that out, and then bought a property for myself. And all the money I'm cash flowing from my duplex, I'm using that to pay for everything in my house that I'm living in. Right?
Exactly.
Smart way.
Yep. Taking the clients we just dealt with last week, because of where they're working, they have good jobs, but they're renting the place they were at. They came to us. They wanted to know how to best use their money. And what did they do? They bought a fourplex. They don't have to move out here. They bought the property here, but that is supplementing their income now. It's actually helping them pay for their rent. So even though they're still renting, they have a larger asset class under their name now.
Yeah, usually I'm not okay with renting at all. I think renting is the biggest waste of money. But if your own primary home, if you're renting it, it's okay only in one way. And the only time that's an exception to a rule is if you have other investments that you're making, because now those are your true investments. Because as we say, your primary home is not an investment. It can be an investment vehicle to spurt more investments from, which we're going to get into later as well. But your main primary residence, if you're renting it, it's okay as long as you're still using the money for the right way of buying other properties, buying a fourplex like they did. They live in the GTA, but they bought a property out in Windsor.
Yep.
And that property in Windsor has 4 units. Those 4 units are making them $4,500 a month.
Yep.
Now, that $4,500 a month, after all expenses, they're netting about $1,500 in their pocket every single month.
Yep. You're
right?
getting cash flow. You're getting appreciation, equity. There's there's areas in the GTA if you're investing there, you're negative cash flow after all expenses. That's after you invested so much capital into this property. You're just banking up appreciation. But there's so many different strategies you can do and use to invest your money more smart.
So we're kind of going all over the place now, right? So let's break it down from the beginning.
So saving
for
money,
first-time
number
investor.
one.
For saving money. So you have people working their 9 to 5s. You have people working their jobs, right? And if you can't afford it, go
Look
in with an
outside.
investor or, pick up a second job. Things are expensive. So you're saving up money. Now we're getting into the process of looking into a property, right? Buying a property, getting into finding the right realtor for yourself. So Aftab, you want to start it off finding the property? A client approaches you. I have this much money. This is my other investor. I want to get a property. I want to cash flow. What's the first steps?
I think before they even get into from the saving money part, there is a connect that has to happen for them to reach the right person to source a property for them. So the connect is mindset. I think that would be the number 2 step for me. What do you think?
Mindset is key because anyone can sell you a property. Any realtor can be like, you want a property? What's your budget? All right, this is what you can afford. This is what you can buy. Done. Mindset is key because if you have a mindset of growth and you know that this is what you can afford today, but this is where you want to go, or whatever the plan may be, you have to find a realtor that knows that goal and can curate what property you're getting, figure out how you're going to reach those goals, and actually have your best interest in mind to get you there, right? Because any realtor can just sell you a property. The real task is finding one that's going to do everything he can in his power to reach you to your end goal down the line.
And that's and the way you can do that is find someone that you really can relate to by seeing their own portfolios, seeing what they're doing for other people, seeing what they can do for you if that person matches the trajectory of what they've done for themselves, and you feel like, okay, you know what, this person has done this for themselves, he's done it this way, and I like the journey process. I want to do the same thing that they're doing because I kind of see myself in that person.
Yeah.
I want to have that type of growth, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people can just go to their uncles and go to their aunts that have like a real estate license, but they have no experience of real estate. Why would you not choose them? A lot of people, you know, in GTA it's very popular. There's 50,000 plus agents. Majority of the agents are part-time. And what happens with part-time agents is they give you a commission back for using their services. And this is where the mindset comes in. Is it more valuable for you as a person to get some money back on that purchase? Or is it more valuable for you to have the most amount of information and the right trajectory set up for yourself by having the right plays laid out for you and by finding the right property that can make you millions down in the future by taking the right steps today? What's more important? So you have to dissect that in your head and say, look, either I can make 10 grand right now. 10 grand seems like a lot of money when you're buying your first home, when you don't have a lot of money. Or which person can get me to $1 million the fastest? What's more valuable? I'll take the $1 million guy all day, any day.
And there's a misconception that as a buyer, you're paying the realtor. You're not paying the realtor. Getting that commission back is free money that it might feel nice, but it wasn't something that you paid out of your pocket. The seller is the one who pays both agents in the transaction, the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So don't just go for any agent and, you know, be like, this guy's going to give me 10 grand back. Go for the best agent who's going to save you $100,000 on the actual purchase of the property.
Find the best service.
Got to think bigger. If you want to make millions down the line, you can't penny pinch over a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when it's free. It's free. It's literally free for you to work with the best person you can find. Yeah. So find the best expert in that field and have that person on your side. That's so important. So I think that would be the number 3 step after number 2.
Yeah.
So saving money, mindset. Number 3, find the best representation.
Exactly.
To represent your interests. Because if you have your interests represented well, guess what? Your growth is going to be literally that much faster, that much larger, and it's going to be much more smoother process because you have the best representation you can possibly find. So find someone that can represent you, get a real estate agent that knows what he's doing and that has your interests aligned with theirs. That's it, you know. And a lot of agents put their interests above their clients.
Exactly.
Make sure you can figure out who's who, right? And that's it. So work with a team that knows what they're doing. Work with a member that knows exactly how to get things done. Simple. That's step number 3.
Yeah, you're not going to hire a personal trainer that's out of shape, right? Yeah. Whatever it is.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah, literally. So you want to do your research, find the best realtor for you, look at their portfolio, right? If I'm just a normal person, I have money saved up, and I go to Armand and say, I want to make money, and he's like, I don't even own anything. I don't own a single thing, but I can help you make money. If you have nothing to back it, no knowledge to back it, no experience, because knowledge is one thing, hands-on experience is another thing, transactions, right?
Yep.
Building a portfolio for yourself. So I would go to somebody who actually has the experience. Yeah.
There's so many realtors out there that don't buy property, don't own property, and it shocks me. Sure, if you're a new agent, whatever, you're still saving that capital, but you're going towards it, that's different. But if you're an agent who has money, has the affordability, don't buy a house because you don't know what to do, that's not the agent you want to go to. Go to the agent who owns properties, who knows what he's doing.
And we can show pretty much anybody the way to get things done. You know, like we don't only deal with investors, and that's something that we want to make very loud and clear right now is we deal with a lot of end users, and we can show you how to put a roof over your head where you actually own it and it can pay you in many different ways. Because I've done it for myself. Everybody on this table has done it for themselves. And we understand the value of real estate because you can understand later on in life that leverage is the only thing that matters. And we made a lot of videos on this today. So leverage. Once you own a property, if you have a house, you're building equity in more ways that you can imagine. And if you can realize that early on in life, you'll be very well off in the future. Basic principle is this, guys. 25 years or 30 years is all it takes for a mortgage to be paid off because that is something called amortization. So whenever somebody gets a mortgage, it's a 25-year or 30-year amortization in Canada right now. And that means that it takes 25 to 30 years to pay off that property completely. So knowing where you are today and in 25 years from now, if you're a first-time home buyer and that property is completely free and clear of whatever you bought it for, why would you not buy that asset?
Yeah. And you know what? You got to think about it like this. Let's say you have no plans of growth. You're just buying a property. Think about it like a savings account. You're a savings account that not only comes with equity, but a product at the end of it. You waited 25 years, 30 years for this property to be paid off. Now you're sitting on a lump sum of a huge equity gain, but you also have an asset there, just sitting there. It's just a savings account.
You can
That
pass it to
mortgage
your
isn't
kids.
going nowhere.
Yeah.
Exactly. Pass it to your kids.
Pass it to someone that you love, right? It's a roof over someone's head for the rest of your generations because you've done the hard work and heavy lifting in the start. And then also, you've also been making money off of that property because now, let's just say if the property's paid off or it's gone up in value, you can borrow against that property. And the most important thing about this whole borrowing part is whenever you earn an income, if you make any money from any job that you guys do, you're paying taxes on that income. But if you borrow money from a property that you own, it's considered debt. We do not pay taxes on debt in Canada. And debt is free of tax. So what that means is you can borrow that money and use it as more tools to reinvest again and reinvest again.
Let's break that down even more because anyone who's just getting into real estate, they're not going to understand what you just said, right? So what Armani's saying is, let's say you bought a house for $500,000 and now it values at $600,000 and you borrow that difference,
100K.
100K. That $100,000 difference is tax-free when you pull it and borrow it.
Yeah. And that's where the real power is in real estate investing. And that's exactly what I did to be financially free. I'm retired right now only because of that one concept.
That's a tool to scale from one property to 10, 20.
Yeah. So it's just, you can make this as big as you want, as small as you want.
Yeah.
But I encourage everybody to do home ownership. Home ownership is very important.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to have something there for someone that you love after you're gone, right? And the way to build long-term wealth is through real estate. And real estate has made the most amount of millionaires and billionaires ever. Every billionaire has a really large investment portfolio, a really large real estate portfolio. Every millionaire has a really large real estate portfolio. And real estate has made more millionaires and billionaires than any other industry ever.
Yeah. And back to mindset, I come across a lot of people where they think very short term. Oh, what's my return in next year? Can I refi in 6 months? What can I do in 6 months? Do not think 6 months. Think longer. Think bigger.
So what's a fourth step, Harsiman? So what are the three that we covered so far? If you're starting off, saving money, mindset, finding the right representation. Those are three. What do you do after? Number four.
So now you found your right representation, right? You've come to, for example, one of us at this table. I'm going to go to Aftab. Hey, this is how much money I have. This is my partner. I believe that you are the right person to guide me into finding something good where I can make money, either appreciation or a high ROI, right? So I'm leaving this to you now.
So now what's very important is what you said right there. I'm leaving this to you. Guide me. So now you've told me what you want. You gave me sort of a goal. Your goal is the most important thing. Now that I know your goal, I have to lay out a game plan. That game plan is going to have steps like, this is what we're buying, this is why we're buying it, and this is how it's going to reach you to your end goal and the steps we have to take in between. So this step is all about game planning, figuring out what your goal is and how we're going to get there.
Yep. So we structure your finances essentially, and we try to align them with the best interest, obviously, of you at heart, to try to figure out what can we do to accelerate the process of making your dreams a reality. So how do we do that? So let's just say I'm a buyer. I want to buy something where I want a house hack. I want some supplementary income coming in from the property that I live in, because I don't want to pay for all the expenses of the property. Because whenever you buy a property, you have a lot of expenses, right? It's not just a mortgage. Mortgage is just one component of the expense you're going to have. You're going to have other expenses like taxes. You're going to have other expenses like an insurance on the house you own. You're going to have the upkeep of the house. So you're going to have to pay for repairs, for the maintenance if you live in that property. Now, if you want to supplement some of the income in that property, you're going to be looking at a specific type of property called multifamily or multi-dwelling home. So a multi-dwelling home is something that has one component where you can live in and reside in, and another apartment that you can make revenue from. So you can either find a house in the GTA that has a basement that you can rent, or you can go to outside cities if you guys are in cities that have multifamily properties, like a triplex, fourplex, like Harsiman was saying, 4 units. Live in 1 unit, rent the other 3. It gives you the income from those 3, and you live for free. So you can literally live for free and cover all your expenses if you find the right product. Or, alternatively, if you're someone that doesn't have those products available to you because you're in a city like Brampton or Mississauga, or you're in a city like Toronto, you don't have multifamily. You can't buy multifamily because it's too damn expensive. What do? You find a multifamily product outside the city that you can buy, like Niagara Falls, and you do your investment first, and then take that investment money. That investment is now going to make you monthly cash flow, because now you have 4 units. All 4 are rented. Before, you were living for free if you lived in one. If all 4 are rented, now you have $1,000 extra coming in. Let's just say if each one's rented for $1,000, 3 cover your expenses. The 4th is your cash flow. That 4th, that's cash flowing, now is paying for your expenses to live in the city that you want to live in, like Toronto. That's what I would do. So find a multifamily.
That's a very important point.
Yeah.
Now, let's backtrack about our histories. Before we started investing heavily in multifamily in Windsor, we didn't all live here. We all moved to the city because of so many a combination of reasons. But our investing journey didn't start here. We didn't invest here, and even if we didn't move here, that doesn't mean we'd stop investing here. We still would have kept going. So you shouldn't be afraid of branching out and pushing your investments further out of the core area where you're living.
Yeah, we've all had different journeys. Like some of us started off in pre-construction, some of us went straight to multifamily. So it's amazing having different, sharing different experiences through trial and error.
So that's another avenue that we should cover. So now we covered whether just buying a primary house where you're going to live in solely, or if you go into a multifamily where you have supplemental income coming from multiple other units. Now, pre-con. How can you invest in pre-con as a first-time home buyer?
Great point. So number one thing that I want people to understand is this: if you have the down payment saved, that's just one part of the problem that you solved. The other part of the problem is getting a mortgage, because you might have the down payment, but you might not be approved for a mortgage today. So what are your options to get into the market if you don't have a mortgage currently, but look, 3 years later I can get this done because I have a goal in mind. 4 years later I can do this. That's what I did. So when I was getting into real estate, I was 23 years old. I was not making a lot of money at the time, right? I was making a lot of money on paper because I was doing pre-construction. I was a realtor, but in pre-construction we get paid really late. So my taxes at the end of the year would be based on the income that I'm making currently that I got paid out on. So I didn't have much income to show. But I always knew right from day one that I wanted to buy a property the second I got into real estate. I had a little bit of money saved up. I had like $40,000. And I was like, how do I invest this money? But no one would give me a mortgage. That was a big problem for me. So what I did to solve that issue was I found the best pre-construction project that I could find, where I was just looking for location at the time. I was like, look, there's all these areas that I can invest in. I can buy Toronto. I can buy Burlington. And mind you, Toronto seems very attractive because you're thinking down the line. But I was looking at some of the prices in Toronto, and they were double from what I was getting in a city like Burlington. Burlington, there was townhouses selling for $250K at the time. And those $250K townhouses, these are towns for $250K, golden times, okay? And I'm like, man, this is half the price of what a property cost me in Toronto, because a condo in Toronto is still cost me $450. So I'm like, man, I'm just gonna buy this townhouse for $250. It's much more approachable. I can get a mortgage for $250 3 years later. The developer took 3 years to build that townhouse. So all you have to do when buying pre-con is you have to make sure that the property that you're buying you can qualify for at the time of closing. So when you're buying it, I'm just signing papers saying that I will be purchasing this condo, and then every developer has a specific deposit structure. And the deposit structure, think of it as a savings plan. You're putting money to that savings plan every single month that they have outlined for you. And if you find a good realtor that knows this pre-construction game, because we've been in pre-con, and our main brokerage, what do we specialize in?
Pre-construction. Yeah.
So we preach multifamily all the time, but we want people to know that pre-construction has a lot of money to be made in there as well. And this is how we've done it. And we always diversify and have a big portfolio there to go along with our portfolio here. So if you're starting off, you have another option, which is called pre-con. You can buy a property that's going to be built 3 or 4 years later and pay deposits for it. So let's just say you have 40 grand. You'll pay that 40 grand for a townhouse condo over a year. So you'll pay 5,000 one month, 5,000 another month, 5,000 another month. And over the span of a year, you'll pay the builder $40,000. Now that $40,000 has reserved your seat, reserved your spot, reserved that condo for you. Then you have no more payments. Then you just ride out the 3 years, save and earn like a madman, and just try to make sure that you have the income that you need to be financially free, because you have a goal in mind, you have a property booked, and then you take that property, and then 3 years later when it's finished, you get the keys. At that time is the time when you get the mortgage, not 3 years prior. So it gives you leverage over time.
I feel like for someone that's young and is looking to get into real estate, it's a great way. It's like forcing you to save. When you're young, you're more obligated to go out, have a good time. This is literally like when I got into pre-construction, it was forcing me to save.
Yeah.
And that was the part where it's like, I suffer now, but, live off the returns afterwards.
But is it really suffering though?
It's not suffering. It's not easy, saving that much money or making
scary.
those payments. It's scary. It's overwhelming. But if you survive through that, you can outline your future.
But aren't you glad you did it?
So glad.
Right? Because think about okay, so let's talk about your pre-con. How much did you buy your pre-con for? And this was your first investment.
Yeah, first investment. I purchased my pre-con for $470 at the time.
What year?
2018.
And what did you sell it for? Or what are you going to sell it for? And what is it worth today?
It's worth close to $700,000 today.
So think about that. One decision that Harjeet made at that time, just to save and just to say, you know what, screw this, man. I'm going to buy this thing and I'm going to make it happen. It now has left you with over $200,000+ in your pocket for one decision, one right decision that you made that time. Now many would say, hey, Harjeet, that's luck. Hey, Harjeet, that is an upswing of real estate. You can't bank on appreciation, but guess what? You still saved money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You still leveraged the time that you had, and you couldn't get a mortgage at the time.
No.
3 years later, now you could.
Yeah. And how long would it take you to save $200,000+ from your regular 9 to 5?
And let me ask you a very important question. What was the deposit that you paid to make that $280K?
So in the span of 4 years, my deposit was $90,000.
So $90,000 give you a return of how much?
200+.
That's insane.
Over 4 years, not all right away. It wasn't just a 90,000 out your pocket. It was over 4 years.
Yeah.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. So you had 4 years to save up 90 grand.
But I had the mindset, I had the goals, ambitions that I do want to invest. I want to change my future. I don't want to be working forever.
Yeah.
So with that return I'm getting down the line, I suffered. Sorry, not suffered, but I took action.
You suffered with money.
Yeah, I suffered with money. Took action earlier on in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get afraid of doing what you did. You know why? Because a lot of people spend a lot of time to save up 10, 20, 30, 40 grand. And then they feel like, you know what? Now I have a little nest egg. Now I'm a little safe. They're like, you want me to give this all to a developer or a down payment on a mortgage right now? You're crazy.
That's when you double down.
That's when you double down.
Yeah.
Because that finite amount of money is going to do nothing for you, especially as our inflation goes up, it's worth less and less.
And I'm sorry to break it to you guys. If you think that $500,000 or $250,000 is wealth, you guys are broke.
It's just a starting point.
Mm-hmm.
You're a brokey. No, I'm kidding. But what I'm saying, I'm actually not kidding. But what I'm saying is, because I was a brokey. I had $250,000. I thought, man, I got $250,000 as a 26-year-old. Shit, I'm balling. I'm gonna go buy a Maserati. And guess what? I actually did buy a Maserati, and I'm an idiot, right? And then I realized, man, I could have used this money a lot better. I could have bought and used that money to buy the next investment that could have made me so much more money. But then, it's harder to. That's temptations are always there, right? So you have to make sure that you're not tempted. Like, you want to live your life and you want it now. You want all the nice things. You want the nice cars. You want the nice suits, the watch, the chains, the the stuff that's popular because you're younger and you're in. So yeah, so I went and bought a car. So what you want to do is, like when you're younger, you want to buy all the chains. You want to buy the cars. You want to buy the clothes to impress people that are nowhere going to be around in your future, right? So what you have to realize at that point, this is a mistake that I've made. I'm a big passionate guy about vehicles. I like cars. I took all the money I made and I'm like, I got $250,000. I'm 26 years old. Let's go blow it on a Mazzy. I went and bought my first cousin. He's with me in the car. We buy a car the same day and we drive to Toledo, Ohio. I literally paid for a Mazzy in cash, and I think it was like 100 grand at the time. So I still had a 150 left. That's why I did it. Or I could have went way higher. But that 100 grand that I spent on that car, I realized I had an opportunity to book 2 projects that I was searching so crazily, and I knew I could make so much money there. But I was like, man, 2 more projects, or should I just enjoy it now? And now I regret it. I'm like, shit, I should have, if I invested in those projects were 50K deposits each, I would have made at least $500,000 on each of those projects right now. I would have had $1 million more from a $100,000 decision that I didn't make. And that regret told me, never again will I ever be this dumb. Not doing this again.
Loss of opportunity.
Yeah, you're essentially making sacrifices now for a bigger and brighter future.
Yep. And delayed gratification is the most important thing. Like, I can't emphasize this enough. If you're younger and you have control over your emotions and you're not emotional in terms of buying cars and stuff, because you and me love cars. We're gadiyan de bande, right?
Yeah.
Like, we love cars.
We've made those mistakes.
Yeah.
We've made those mistakes. But hey, here we are, but we learned from those mistakes.
We did.
We still had fun.
We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun. Yeah.
We live in an era, we live in an era where everyone wants instant satisfaction. Instant satisfaction. Wait, what did I say? Right? Cut that out.
Instant satisfaction.
Gratification.
Satisfaction.
Yeah.
Satisfaction
Instant
or
satisfaction. Everyone wants instant satisfaction. So you're on your phone, you want to see it right away. You want to see every single thing you have right away. But patience is virtue. It takes time to build wealth.
Yeah.
You know what's a big life lesson that not a lot of people talk about is surrounding yourself with the right people, right?
Big time.
People don't understand that well enough. If you hang out with what you think is the right people and they're sitting there with Rolexes and fancy cars that maybe their parents bought them or even they bought themselves, but they don't have any assets, that's not the people you want to hang around. No. Like, if we're sitting here, you have a Rolex, you have a nice watch, we have nice suits, that's because we have assets. I'm more impressed by people who are younger and have a portfolio when it comes to their investments, not even just real estate, it could be other avenues as well. But if they're focusing on business and they're focusing on other things rather than, hey, I want a fancy car or I want nice watches just to show girls or show my friends, like, oh, I'm top dog, I have these things. I'm not impressed by that. If you have a certain amount in stocks in real estate, that's impressive. Retiring your parents, that's impressive. Generational wealth, that's impressive.
When I talk to people and they get impressed by my Rollie, I'm like, you shouldn't be impressed. Because the people who are really impressed, they go right into the business. What do you own? What do you do for business? Those are the people. I'm like, oh, this guy's serious. He skips the watch and completely. They go into what's important. The people who are like, oh my God, a Rollie. It's because they think that's
The
everything.
pinnacle.
That's the
right?
pinnacle.
And that's so funny because that's the reason why I didn't buy a Rollie. You know what? I lost a Rollie. I had a Rollie. I lost it. I lost it at the gym. Somebody stole it from my locker. Why did I buy a Vacheron?
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. A normal person wouldn't know.
If you know what a Vacheron is, you're someone I want to talk to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? If you don't know what a Vacheron is, so many guys see this watch every day. They're like, oh, that's a nice watch, man. All right, that's cool. Half the guys don't even know what this is. They're like, yeah, that's cool. What is this, like a 4,000, 3,000? I'm like, they don't know. Perfect. I know who this person is. The room that I'm trying to get into, that's what this watch symbolized for me. And that's what the guy that sold me the watch, when I was talking to him, he's my watch guy for a while. And he's based out of Chicago. And he was like, man, he's like, depends on what room you want to walk into. He's like, what kind of watch are you looking for today, Armand? I'm like, I want something emphatic. And he showed me this. I was like, this is so subtle. But he's like, that's not subtle. That's a flex. I was like, how is that a flex? He's like, depends on what room you're walking into. And then that hit me. I was like, damn. Okay. This fits my future, not my past. So
I remember we were in Kabul. There's a big Rolex store right behind us, and I was telling Arman, "You should go here tomorrow. I want to go watch shopping." He's like, "How do you know, man?" He's like, "You gotta expand your horizons. You're not a Rolex guy. You're a Vacheron guy."
yeah.
And I see so many kids that, they go out and they buy a $20,000 Rolex. They're like, oh my God, they start
made it.
flexing.
I made it.
I made it. Got my Rolex. Like,
And they start pouring champagne on their $20,000 rollies. And then
see, it's real. It's waterproof. It's waterproof.
man, I know. All right, well, we got into the watches. Let's go back into the
Okay.
houses.
Let's take a
Recap.
step back. So we sidetracked off to pre-con. We were at game plan. So now we have your game plan. Armand, what's our next step?
Game plan? No, we're talking about the start. right?
After
Yeah,
so
yeah.
basically after you
After
have your
game
game
plan.
plan,
Yeah.
a realtor will show you, hey, these are lists of properties that I feel like could fit, right? But what we get a lot of the times is clients will send me properties all the time while I'm looking for them, right? Which is great. It means they're eager, it means they're excited to invest. And sometimes I'll look at those properties and they'll think it's a great property, right? But that's the reason why we're there. And we'll look at it, and this has happened so many times. Well, they'll be like, this is a great price range, and it's cheaper than the one you showed me for the same amount of bedrooms and washrooms. And I'll tell them, okay, but look at the potential. Look how much land this one has compared to the one you sent. Look how many renovations this one has compared to the one you sent. The one you sent, it's going to need at least $100,000 more in renovations.
Liquid cash.
Liquid cash, rather than this one's literally you walk inside, you can turn the key, and that's it. You're making money.
And a lot of people forget there's a lot more to a property than what you see right on realtor.ca.
Exactly.
Right? Everyone thinks, oh yeah, it says this, we're good to go. No, legality. It's so funny the amount of times I get sent illegal properties, and I'm like, people send it, I'm like, won't get financed. I just leave it at that. That's all I text. Won't get financed.
Because we do our due diligence, right? We dig into the property. The main thing about multifamily as well, or any family, if it's a basement's legal, is it a legal duplex, triplex, fourplex? That's the main thing.
Yeah. And especially with all these brand new homes as well, you want to make sure that if you're buying a property in pre-con, you have to know what developer you're buying. You're not only just buying a property, you're buying into the development's systems and what type of allocations they have, what type of permits have they been approved for, because a lot of the people just spend money buying projects that they are not even approved. And what happens 4 years later? They think they invested. They did all the right steps, but they trusted the wrong guidance. And the wrong guidance got them 4 years later into a big fat zero, because that zero is the return on the capital that they made from making that wrong decision, from choosing the wrong person to represent them. So you really have to do your due diligence in terms of what developer you're buying, especially in the pre-construction world. If you're in pre-con, please listen to this. Do your research on the developer before you buy any property. I don't care how great of a deal it looks like. If they're giving you a free Rolex when you buy a condo, if they're giving you a free Rolls Royce when you buy a condo, doesn't matter what they're giving you as a free incentive. Your main purpose of buying that property is for a property alone. Do not get entangled in all these side things that they're giving you as promotional material to sell that project, because all that glitz and glamour looks nice, but at the end of the day, if the property that you're buying is not giving you the highest return on investment, you're the one who's paying for it. And if it gives you $0 return of investment, that's on you because you didn't do your research.
Yeah, so for everyone who sent me that video of getting free Rolexes if you buy this project or you get this car, stop sending those to me. There's a reason they're offering you free incentives like that.
Yeah, exactly. So
You
think
wanna-
about how much their margins are.
Yeah, you want to invest in a builder that has a very long track record. They've been in the game for a while. They have past projects you can look back to. And you also want to look into the project you're investing to. If the condo is part of a master plan community, I highly recommend those, because if you buy in the correct phase, by the time phase 2 or 3 is out, you make a lot of money.
That's it. I want to touch on something there that you said that most people won't know. Master plan community. Most people who are investing in pre-construction never
does that
even know
term
what
mean?
that means.
What does that term mean?
Master plan communities is, let's say a developer is like, yeah, I'm throwing up this condo. You should buy this pre-con. But there's no other plans. There's no other buildings coming. There's no other supporting avenues such as plazas or whatnot that are going to support that building coming. But a master plan community is everything's been taken care of. The residences are going to be there. Let's say building 1, 2, 3 are coming. But commercial properties are also coming.
Schools,
Schools.
parks, recreation. They have to have a support system for the housing that's coming there. That's a master plan community.
Because it becomes its own self-sustaining community.
Exactly. So they have to do a major development that has to have infrastructure developed all around that development. So that's what a master plan
So
community
whenever you
is.
hear of like a builder promoting a master plan community, and they're gonna have 4 phases. If you get into phase 1, by the time phase 4 or 5 is built, you'll be at a really good spot. You'll be at the highest return, because as time goes on, phase 1 won't be worth as much as phase 4 or 5. So
Yeah.
it's really important. Just do your research on your builder, and get in at the right time.
And you know what? Pre-construction agents who are good and know what they're doing, Armani, you've seen the lines that some of these really good projects get. How bad do these lines get?
They're insane. And right now, even today, like I was looking at some of the people, like some of my friends and some of the people in our brokerage, they're selling projects right now in Toronto and Burlington. Interest rates are 7% right now. And there's a lineup out the damn door for all these pre-con projects. And every single person in that lineup is a realtor doing promotional material to sell to somebody that they know. So be careful about what projects you're buying. And pre-con's really busy right now, yes, but the right projects, you wouldn't even have to wait in line if you know the right realtor to get you behind the door, backdoor access.
Exactly.
And that's what we pride ourselves in.
Yeah.
How many projects I've bought before the doors even opened? I can't even name them to you. Just because we've done so many investments from the back door, just because of those connections. And you guys are leveraging connections while having us represent you, because we've done this for ourselves. We'll do this for you if you have your best interest in mind, right?
Yeah.
So if we represent you, you'd better know that you're taken care of.
The hardest thing as an investor, when I remember I bought my first pre-construction, is that there's a huge lineup outside, huge amount of people inside, and it's overwhelming. You're getting a sheet of paper first off, a floor plan thrown at you. It's like, okay, you have 5 minutes to decide. If I can go back in time, no, I know I got a good unit, I got a good allocation, but if I can go back in time, I wish I had some time to go over my investment that's going to be there for 3, 4, 5 years. So don't fall into a trap of being pressured. Do your due diligence, do your research. It'll pay off much more.
And the biggest tip from that, Harjeet, is every single person that buys any condo, this is a tip number 1 that I would say, any condo property, you have a 10-day cooling off period. So what that 10-day cooling off period means is that you have 10 days to review this contract that you just signed with your lawyer, because if you review this contract and you do not like something that you see, and trust me, there's no way you're going to know how to read this contract because it's like 1,000 pages. Take it to a lawyer, pay the $500 if you're spending 40, 50 grand. Take the $500, get it reviewed on the 10-day cool-off period. And the reason why it's called a cool-off period is because you can return the papers and get all your money back and return the unit if you do not think that it's fit as an investment or as an end-using home for yourself. So exercise that right.
Don't lose tens of thousands down the line trying to save
$500.
$500 today.
Luckily, I had the knowledge back then that I took it to a lawyer. They revised it. They gave me proper advice that, yeah, this is a good project. All the clauses are in good order. But if I was like, okay, no, I want to save, $150. I don't want to go to a lawyer, and just signed it, then that could have, it could have came back, and I could have suffered consequences down the road.
Could have bit you in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has happened. It's not something that's like doesn't happen often. You hear it all the time now, especially when the market starts to drop, like it was a few months ago. You started hearing about all the developers and all the people that had issues with those developers. So it's not
Big
something
time.
that doesn't happen. It does happen quite often.
It's a very detailed document that covers all your levies, all your developmental charges, because those are things that you would have to pay at the closing time. So it's not just, let's just say if a property's $400,000 and you booked a condo, you're not just paying $400,000 as your exit price, because you paid the 40 grand deposit to book that 400K condo. You still have to get a mortgage on that condo. And at the time of the closing, you still have developmental costs, closing costs. There's so many levies and charges. And levies and charges is where people, because you booked a condo today, the cost of development for that condo today is this. This is what the developer estimates it's going to be. But those estimates are never met.
Yeah.
They're usually way higher. So if they're not capped from your lawyer, capped meanings they put a limit on them, that they cannot go past this price. Because if they're not capped, you'll be surprised. There was 2 development projects in my time, and they were sold. Like the deposits were, I think, 80 grand each. They were like $300,000 condos. Developmental and levies on those, just because they didn't review with their lawyer and they didn't get it capped, were $80,000 each
Wow.
on top of the purchase price. So the condo cost them $380. because the development was a small development. The builder wasn't that renowned, didn't really know what they were doing. Their cost of labor, cost of everything was so much higher. Cost of servicing the infrastructure was so much higher. Boom. Guess who has to pay? You, because you signed the contract.
Yeah. And some areas in some projects in Toronto, people are not aware there's two land transfer tax. There's your municipal and your provincial.
So talk about that a little bit. So if you're buying in what areas, then you have to pay land transfer tax times 2.
Yeah. If you're buying in areas such as Etobicoke, Toronto, downtown outskirts that fall under Toronto, then you're paying 2 land transfer tax.
What is land transfer tax?
So on the time of closing, you're paying essentially...
Land transfer tax. So transfer name of your title to me. So let's just say if Harjeet owns a property and he's transferring the title to me on sale or a purchase, it's being transferred.
Yeah.
The name is being transferred. So you're going to pay twice in what areas?
Toronto.
Yeah, that's crazy. So land transfer tax is probably the biggest expense you're going to pay on closing.
Yeah. But if you're a first-time home buyer, you're getting a rebate. If you have 2 land transfer tax, you're getting a rebate on both those taxes, which is about $4,000 each.
Yeah, true. And the $4,000 is a big savings, especially at the closing cost.
Yeah.
Right.
And 8 if you're doing it twice.
Yeah.
All right, so going on to the next point, right? So now we've
Yeah, we got to stop
we
going
gotta-
off
we gotta
topic.
end.
we're going very off.
So
topic.
Rollies what?
Rollies, what?
That's crazy. I don't have one, but I like my watch.
We got to
It's a
edit this
gift.
one a lot.
No editing. Keep it rolling. Let's go.
No.
Okay.
Anyway, so next point, right? So your realtor has found you a property. You like it. You guys have ran the numbers. What's next?
So if you have a good realtor, you literally don't even have to worry about the next step. But if you don't have a good realtor, then you really need to find a really good mortgage person. And a mortgage person should be actually the person you talk to before you even find a realtor. So that should have been a step prior, because you have to know your numbers in terms of what you can afford. If you're buying a property to close in the next 60 or 90 days, that's the usual time it takes to close a property from the time that you like it. You put an offer on it through a real estate agent. Now you have come to an agreement of saying, okay, I want to pay this much for our house. Everything is done. It takes about 90 days to close on that property on average. So knowing all that, you would have to have a mortgage person. That's why I always say it's so important to find really good real estate agents, because they can systemize and process everything out for you, because you don't need to do nothing. If you walk into our building, what's the first thing we tell our clients?
One-stop shop.
Why?
We have
Systems.
everything. We have all of our systems in place. We have our mortgage guy. We have our lawyers. We have our realtors. We have property managers. There's nowhere else you need to go for anything you need in the home buying process. Every door in this building has a purpose, and every office in this building will help you in the home buying process.
It makes it so much more simpler and so much more easier for the end user or the investor, because we give the best service knowing that they're going to need a mortgage person. We already have that figured out for you. And if this mortgage person is not doing the job that they're supposed to, then we go to this guy. You know, same thing with the property management, same thing with every aspect. So everything is covered, and we give you all the servicing. That's what a good real estate agent is there for, to literally guide you from step A to step Z in terms of your purchasing power, how to get the property, how to get under contract, what to do after, and guide you through the next steps and walk you through A to Z. So that's the importance. So going back to that conversation, I think a mortgage person would be prior to the realtor.
Yeah, getting pre-approved.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because
I
you don't
agree.
want to buy before, knowing what you can afford. So
Exactly.
yeah, like you can walk into a dealership and get approved for financing for a vehicle, no problem. But if you're buying something in terms of houses, it's not the same process.
Yeah, especially with pre-construction, if you're looking at the price point, talk to your mortgage your mortgage guy or mortgage professional beforehand, so you know how much you can get approved for. And I know it might be down the line that this project might be completed 3 to 5 years, but still you want to have a rough ballpark. Can I afford this right now?
Exactly. So what's the next step, guys? So now you found a realtor. He's got your everything situated in terms of your mortgage. You know what you can buy. You find the right house. What's the next step the realtor does? He puts an offer for you.
Exactly. And a lot of people are actually confused by this process. They think that putting an offer in is just, sign on a piece of paper, here's my number, toss it in. There's a lot of components that come in with putting an offer, right? So your offer has irrevocability till a certain date.
What does irrevocability mean?
It means when you put your offer in, that offer is only accepted through a certain time period. It's
only valid.
It's only valid through a certain time period, right? After that time period, it's off the table.
For example, if I told Harsimran, I want to buy your house. I offer you $500,000, but you have until 9 o'clock tonight. If he signs back, he accepts at 9:30, I can get it and be like, no, sorry, you had till 9 o'clock.
It's expired.
It's expired. Exactly.
Your money's off the table.
Along with your offer, you also have a deposit that you put on along with it, right? And after an offer is accepted, there's also a valid time period where you have to deposit that check
Yeah.
into whoever's selling the property.
Into their brokerage account.
Yeah.
So there's things on the deposit I want to touch up as well. The deposit can either be given with the offer. You can write a check or a draft with the offer. You can submit it after the offer is accepted, which majority of my clients like to do. Is they like to do it after they know they already have the property secured. They're gonna give the offer, the deposit 24 hours later, within the 24-hour time period frame, within the next banking day. But if let's just say it's a Friday, and you're on a Saturday or a Sunday, the offer is now accepted on a Friday. Now you have non-banking days like Saturday and Sunday. It's assumed that you're gonna give it on Monday when the bank opens to the other party, that you're gonna have your deposit given in that time.
And this deposit goes towards your down payment. So it's not like if you're giving 40, 50, $100,000 deposit, it's just in addition to the purchase price. It's incorporated into the down payment that you're already going to have to give.
Yeah. So whatever your down payment is going to be at the end with the mortgage person, that deposit is going to be taken off of that because you've already given that there. So it gets applied to it. And also the deposit, how much is a deposit usually of a purchase price of a property?
5%.
So 5%. So let's just say if you're looking at a $500,000 house, it's going to be 5% of a $500,000 house, which is 12.5K. My math is solid because I'm brown as hell. All right. I'm kidding.
Okay,
That's a joke.
so now congratulations, your offer gets accepted. What's next on the list?
Offer gets accepted. Go pop a bottle of champagne and start partying. No.
What's rule number one once your offer gets accepted? And you're
Never
in
get
that-
happy.
Go get a brand new car.
Exactly. Don't get a car. If your offer gets accepted, don't change your debt ratios. Those 60 to 90 days, whenever that time frame is for your closing, do not change your debt ratios. Don't go get too excited and buy a car or buy something else because it could throw off your mortgage.
Exactly. Because right now you're not tendered yet. Right now you're in that conditional phase. Even though the offer is not conditional, it is that phase that you don't have the keys. So until you get the keys, until your lawyer says, hey, it's okay, everything is done, do not go splurge on new furniture. Do not go to Lowe's and do their financing options on $100,000 for that house to spend on the furniture for that property. Don't do any of that stuff. Just buy the damn house first. Then once the house is closed, you're in there, then we worry about the rest. Because if anything is financed on your name, that will impact your application.
And don't get it wrong. Even if you have a pre-approval, the bank at any point in time can be
Can pull
like,
it.
I changed my mind.
They withdraw it. Yeah.
Yep.
You have to get your property appraised. There's a lot of things. Get ready to sign a lot of paperwork once this offer gets accepted.
So what's the next step? Everything after that, they don't buy the car. They're good. They know the closing's coming up. So now they just have to wait the 90 days or the 60 days or the 30 days till the property closes. How do they close the property? What is the closing a property?
So the closing of a property, that at that point, the realtors are out of the picture. This is where the lawyer kicks in.
This is where Amanda comes in.
Amanda will handle this. Yeah, okay. So the mortgage information, the instructions, as what the bank will give to the lawyer. It's essentially instructions on how the mortgage is going to be dealt, how the funds are going to be transferred, all of that. The lawyer is going to transfer the deed, transfer all the funds, and you're going to have to provide the lawyer on time with the rest of the funds. So your down payment minus the deposit plus closing costs, lawyer fees, land transfer tax,
Title
and
search.
title search, all these fees you're going to have to provide to the lawyer on time before the property closes so that she can transfer everything.
So if I was to explain this to a 6-year-old, simplest thing is get a good damn lawyer. They will do the rest for you.
Yeah.
She'll just
That
send you
should
an
relax.
invoice.
That's
This is
it.
what I need.
This is what she needs. This is what he or she may need for the closing. This is how much down payment that you were required, which you would already know the number because you bought the property, because you already did your due diligence with the mortgage agent. Now give me the draft for that, and I can send it to the other party, and I'll hand over the keys. I'll figure out the key arrangement. All the lawyer will do all that for you.
Yeah.
So
It's really important to be proactive, have all your documents in place, shoot it up to your lawyer take over from there, and it'll be a smooth closing from there.
yeah, exactly. And smoothness of the closing is the most important thing. How smooth it goes or how rough the ride is all dependent on the vehicle that you're using.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have a great lawyer that will make your closing smooth. You have a great mortgage guy that you don't have to chase down, and he gets the closing done for you as well. And you have a great realtor, right? So all these people are taking on the headache for you. So the only times if you get a few hiccups here and there, which happens, it's all part of the process, usually comes from the other side, the seller side, something like that. But everyone, if you have good realtor, mortgage guy, lawyer, property managers, they'll make the process really easy for you so you don't have to take on that headache. We will take on the stress.
And something I want to cover with things happen, be honest with your people, your team. If you're a realtor, you're a mortgage broker, you're a lawyer, tell them the honest truth about everything. Because we're going to find out if you have some loans and you're like, oh, I don't want him to know I have this crazy car loan. Tell us, because it changes things. We don't want to find out when it becomes a problem, your deposit's given in, and now we realize you can't afford the house.
Yeah, because we can take it through a different channel. If, we know that's going to be the easier channel for us to go through. Because think of real estate agents as your wedding planners. We have all the contacts, right? We're going to get you the best DJ. We're going to get you the best lighting guy. We're going to get you the best media guy. You need a damn wedding? We'll make a damn wedding happen. But for you need a good wedding planner if you have no experience, if you're not previously wed before, because you know how much of a chaos that's going to be. Yeah, so we can streamline that process, connect you with the right people, get you the right house, which is like find the right venue. So we will do that for you, and then everything else. I think
all that comes with experience as well, right? Having a team that has so much experience and years of accumulating all these different people under their belt, right? If you have people that are just fresh into the game, they're not going to know everybody. But if we have 4 veteran realtors right here, right, we're going to know the right people. Trial and error.
You're only as good as the advice that you get.
And that's the benefit of instead of working with a solo agent, you're working with a team. That's the benefit that we bring to the table.
Yeah, if I need a guy for something, Armani, who do I go to? All right, Aftab, this is who you go to. Armani will call me, Aftab, yo, who was that guy you used? Can you help me out? It's quick. I need this done right now. Yeah. Don't worry, this guy's vetted. I've used him. I've trusted him. Go ahead.
Our resources are collective. We have a collective of resources that we can use, and that's the strength that we have behind us.
That's right.
And the amount of people that we've helped buy properties, we've sold so much real estate. Exact number is we're near $1 billion in real estate, so or more. I think I gotta refact check that, but I think we're definitely past $1 billion. So we've sold a lot of real estate over the years. Right? We've served a lot of happy clients. I'm not saying go through us. This is just a podcast to educate you as the end user. And you can use anybody in your circle, obviously. But the main thing is just find the best representation if you're on the buyer side. And on the seller side, when you have to pay, that's even more important at that time. Because now you're paying somebody. Might as well pay somebody that's going to do it for you properly.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Right. So now let's go back. You gave the lawyer the check. She's done all. The closing has happened. What does that mean? Closing's done.
Closing's done. Congratulations. You literally made it. You're at the finish line. Everything is bonito finished, right? So everything is done. Now, the next step is literally call your realtor. He'll set up the arrangement of the keys for you. He'll meet you at the property, or he'll tell you exactly where to go pick them up. If you're not in the same city or vicinity, if it's an investment property, then you need to figure out who's your next property management, because property management is going to be the next component that the key is going to be transferred to, because they will take on the baton from there. Because think of it this way, let's just say you're the first step, you're the mortgage guy, I'm the realtor, I take the baton, pass it here, then I give it to the next person, then you take it to the next person. So there's all these things that have to happen to make a successful closing happen. There's a lot of moving components. Property management is also a big one, and you have to encompass that, especially if you're an investor. So if you're an investor, listen to this podcast. This is more for you. You need a property management in place, and that again will be referred to by your realtor.
Another big misconception that people forget. Very good, you guys got the house, you got the property, but it's not only just sunshines and rainbows. Don't be upset if your property has miscellaneous problems that you say you're not ready for, right? You're dealing with people at this point, especially if you're renting out a property. So say you have a bad tenant, right? Or something breaks in the house. These are all part of owning a house. It's not just, I bought a house, there's no more headache, it's going to be just sunshines and rainbows the whole time. You are going to have to deal with problems. You have to deal with tenants. You have to deal with bad people. You're going to deal with good people, but you just have to be prepared for it, right? That's where property managers come in. But if you only have 2 or 3 properties and you live in the same city, then yeah, you could take care of that yourself, right? But if you live in the GTA and you own properties in Windsor, obviously you're gonna need a property manager. But be prepared for miscellaneous things to happen because that's just life. It's part of life.
It's like owning a car. Every once in a while, you're going to get a flat tire, but don't stress. Flat tires can be fixed. You're going to need oil changes regularly. It's a part of ownership. It's the same thing with the house.
That's where like education comes into play. Educate yourself beforehand. That way you can execute. And when you execute, then your expectations are set.
Yeah. And having property management in place is like having CAA for your car. Just because you know you can call someone that's dependable, that knows what they're doing. Let's just say if your car's stuck on the highway, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You've never changed a tire in your... Having property management is like having CAA for your vehicle. You don't know what you're doing. Your car's stuck on the highway. You got to figure out how to change a tire. You have no prior experience. This is your first time. I highly advise you get CAA, aka property management, because either you may not have enough time in your life to manage these properties, to deal with these tenant situations, because tenants are going to call you at 4 a.m. in the morning, and you best believe that this is part of property ownerships, right? Like the amount of properties that I still get calls for, even though I'm not. Like I still get calls every day. My neighbor's calling me, "Hey, Armani, your property, yeah, man, this new guy's coming in there." But I'm like, thanks, Bob. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for letting me know this guy's coming in there. But I have property management handling this. Before, when I wasn't actually dealing with property management, I had to handle all these calls myself. So I'm a busy guy. I like to focus on things that matter, that make me more money, which is buying more properties and keeping invested. I don't like to do the day-to-day handling of properties. Hence why I like to do property management, because it actually streamlines the process of ownership for me. Right? And if things are more streamlined and more smoother in terms of buying something and making sure that it works properly, that's their job. They're perfect at what they do. They know exactly. They have all these lists of contractors that they need. I don't have to go search for contractors on Google, make 1,000 calls to say, hey Joe, are you available? How much would you charge me? Can you quote me out on this drywall fix that I need for my tenant? They do all that for you. So you don't have to, right? And if they do all that for you, it makes your life so much simpler as an investor. Then you can focus on the thing that really matters, which is doubling down, buying more, leveraging, find the right properties, and staying invested. Be a professional landlord.
Yeah. And remember, the first one is the hardest. After that, you start understanding the game. You understand the business, right? The first one you're going to deal with, okay, these are the headaches. Here's what I had to deal with. But now for the second ones, I know what to expect. The third one, I know what to expect. You start having a process. You start having a management style organization, right? Exactly. Organization is the biggest thing. If you want to deal with all the headache yourself, you can. But if you have systems in place, that's going to change the game, right? You have to spend more money to make money. Don't just cheap out in every avenue. I don't need property management. I can take care of it myself. Yeah. They're professionals. They know how to vet tenants. Otherwise, if you get a bad tenant that doesn't want to leave and doesn't want to pay you, guess what? Ontario laws are made for tenants. They're not made for landlords, right?
Who can't sleep at night after that?
People can't sleep at night, yeah. Right? So I hear horror stories about people saying, I can't continue paying my mortgage because my tenant stopped paying me 3 months ago and I can't evict them. Courts are backed up. So having property management, they will vet your tenants. And they'll get systems in place that will make it easier for you to make money, right? That's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire, the systems you have in place.
And the amount of people that get turned off from property ownership and investments just because of that fact, especially if you're in Canada or in Ontario, you know that the laws are against you, like you said. But that's the reason why you have so much opportunity, because a lot of people don't want to get into the space because they think it's hard. It's difficult. It's only difficult because you don't have the right systems in place, right? So if you have the right systems in place and you have the right property management to back you up, guess what? It's not all that difficult anymore. You're only as good as your coach. Yeah. Right?
If you want to make money, life's going to be difficult. I think it's the biggest thing. There's no such thing as easy money. No. There's no such thing. It doesn't matter if we're realtors, there's no such thing as easy money. Our schedule might be a little bit more balanced, but people like being a truck driver, doing a factory worker job, doing anything you're doing, it's not easy. Making money is not easy. Owning properties is a lot of headache, a lot of stress. You have Armani went to sleep at 5 a.m. last night, right? Yeah. People are working late.
My hairline's going back just because of all the tenants and all the properties.
So don't think that owning property is high stress.
Constantly telling Justin to edit out my white hair.
It is high stress, but it's also high reward, right? You have to look at the reward. Right. Mm-hmm. So what's worth it to you? Yeah, the stress is worth it, knowing that my kids are going to be taken care of with the systems that I had in place. And 2020. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're going to be living in 2070 saying, you know, my grandpa had all these
Hey,
systems
Daddy,
in place.
what color is your Bugatti?
Yeah, literally, right? So yeah, there's no such thing as easy money. So please don't expect like once you own a property that it's all just like going to be easy after that.
And you know what's funny? I always hear people say, "Oh, I'm never going to be able to buy a house. I can't do it." If immigrant parents can come to this country with nothing and figure out a way to just do it, you could do it. There's always a way. There's a place you could go and do
I'm a living
it.
testament to that.
Yeah.
I'm a first
Real
generation Canadian.
Yeah,
First
he is.
gen, right? Like this is. I wasn't born in Canada. I didn't know nothing about Canadian. I don't know who Kobe Bryant was. I learned
I don't know
basketball.
who gave you a citizenship, to be honest.
Whoever will give him citizenship.
You know, thank God you did, because you got a handsome hunk like me and you're living in your city paying property taxes like no tomorrow.
But
You're
yeah,
welcome.
If immigrants can come here, not even my dad doesn't even know the language, and he has an investment portfolio, right?
Sick one, too.
It comes down to work ethic. It doesn't matter. Money is a universal language, right? Work ethic is what will build you. Not just, hey, I have this much money, take it, invest it, free money for me. No, you still have to have you have to have initiative, right? You have to go out, do the research yourself. What's a good team for me to go to? What's a good area for me to invest into, right? You have to do the due diligence yourself into your own investment portfolio, and it's going to pay.
Yeah. Real estate comes down to educating yourself, taking action, and that's through that action you gain experience. If you don't do those things, if you don't educate yourself, if you don't take action, then what experience are you going to gain over the years?
They can just be on the sidelines watching guys like us do it, right?
Yeah.
That's
We'll
it.
happily, if you guys want to happily watch us do it, we can keep telling you about how nice it is doing what we're doing, or you can join us.
Yeah. Market
Join
up
us.
or down, people always have some sort of excuse. And those kind of people, they won't progress. You have to find the deal. You have to take action. And from action, you'll learn and you'll gain experience.
I hear like people message us all the time, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, love what you're doing. It's great. I always watch your stuff." And then they're like, "Okay, now how do I start?" And every once in a while, I'll get that message where they start off great. I love what you do. I'm watching. I'm learning. And then I'm like, no? Okay, you can sit there. You can keep watching, I guess. Do something. Even if it's just to learn. You could be honest. Be like, I just want to learn. What should I do next?
If you're a good learner, you would execute first, and then you'll learn backwards. That's
Yeah.
what I did.
It's time for you to get off the sidelines, join the game, start being a player.
That's it. Be a player like Harjeet. Play everybody.
So
Shots fired. Pop, 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 pop.
So now we've covered these guys.
I'm just kidding. If you're his girlfriend, I don't even know if he has one.
One of them.
I do not know. He hasn't told me about you yet, so that's the conversation.
I plead the fifth.
So going back to investments, going back to people investing for the first time, right? I got a lot of questions from clients saying, why is this a good property? You just sent me this property, and I sent you this one that's a little bit cheaper. Why is that one a good property?
Because I said so.
Yeah,
Experience.
exactly. Because a lot of people, especially if they're extremely interested in an investing game, they're going to know why, right? So you have to break down and explain to them, these are the qualities that makes this a good property, right? Things like location, things like price. There's a lot of factors, right? So what would you guys tell your clients?
I think sometimes we're at fault where we do this so often where I'll send him a property, he'll be like, like without saying a word, he knows what I'm trying to talk about with this property. I don't have to say this is a good property, bad property. It's just like, it's good.
What are you waiting
It's
for?
bad.
What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for? Yeah, that's the best. Sometimes we'll hand Armani or I'll hand Harjeet or Harsimran the phone. They'll be like, what are you waiting for? Or it's like and we know. But we forget sometimes that our clients don't do this. They don't do this
Yeah.
day in, day out.
Our properties get vetted by literally a full team of people.
Exactly.
Even yesterday, same thing. I called the person selling a property. I called the other side realtor. And he's like, the first question they ask you, are you a realtor? Yes. What company are you with? Armani and Associates. He goes, oh yeah, one of your guys, Harj, just had a showing at this property. It's like, okay, well, this property's already looked at. I called Harjeet right away, and I'm like, what do you think of this property? He's like, not good. Already checked it out. Not a good property. I'm like, perfect. That takes a headache out of it.
Yeah.
Even the duplex I bought.
Yep.
I was on the phone, and he's like, oh, one of the guys from your brokerage already came and looked at the property. I'm like, who? He's like, Aftab. And I was like, I called Aftab right away. I was like, what do you think?
Yeah.
He's like, great property. I bought it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So it's like,
Exactly.
it always gets vetted, and we have like, our team is full of dogs. anything that got posted that morning,
Woof, woof,
everybody, everybody in our brokerage has already seen it
Yeah.
and has already, like, oh, this is a good property, this is a bad property. Don't get away from that one. Stay close to this
Yeah,
one.
exactly.
Yeah.
If
We're
you're
all-
if you're listed on the MLS, oh, you best know. I know
Yeah.
every angle of
Yeah.
your property.
It's
I
my-
know the front angle. I know the back angle. I know the right view. I know the inside. I've done my research. I know everything about your listing. I know what your buyer paid for it. I know what your seller paid for it. What you're paying your realtor. Don't worry, I know it all.
I love when clients come to the city and they try to test us. They're like, "There's this 3-bedroom, a 4-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms, this," and I'm like, "Is this listed by this guy?" Yeah. I already looked at it. This is
Yeah.
what's wrong with it. or
And the
this is what's
funniest
good.
part of this whole situation is this: if it's even listed online, of course every realtor knows about it because it's listed online. But majority of these properties that get listed online have already been through our phones 3 weeks prior to them being listed.
This happened yesterday. Harjeet got a realtor sent Harjeet the property. I looked at it. I called the realtor. He's like, "Damn, you guys are quick." He was like, because they don't expect it. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's a whole team here that's constantly in touch.
We're hungry. We're always analyzing deals together. We got our trainings every Monday. We're going through these properties.
Oh,
Because
speaking of
we're-
which, talk about trainings, by the way.
Yeah, every Monday we have training at the embassy. We're always breaking down different things that are going on in the market, quick market updates, any developments that are happening. It's not just Windsor, we're doing Toronto as well. So real estate as a whole. So we're always educating ourselves so we can educate you and spread knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last week we had Harjeet do a fantastic training, and that was on the Windsor market, on exactly why you should buy, the money that's being poured into the city. Then the week prior we had Aftab take over, right, and that was about being a landlord, managing properties. So these are topics that are live topics that are being discussed every single time, and they bring a lot of value. And these trainings are not just for our office, or not just for real estate agents. This is for everybody. The next week training is going to be Harsimran Maan himself. So Harsimran is going to be going up on stage. We have people joining from all over the world, that not only Canadians, we have people from America. They literally join our trainings and they watch via Zoom link. So if you guys want to join next week's training, every Monday, 1 p.m., you know exactly where it is. It's at the embassy, which is our building here. So you guys can join that. You can DM any single person on this panel right here. We'll send you the link and we'll add you to our database to send you the live trainings. So, and if you cannot join the live training as well, we also have them recorded, because those recordings will be sent out to you, but we need your name, we need your email, and we need to know why you're joining. Just email us, learn something, free education,
Free game.
Yeah. And
or
these
buy me a coffee.
the lessons the lessons that we're teaching also are very important, right? It doesn't just apply to real estate, but it's just overall knowledge. So just things you should know, because eventually you are going to buy a house, right? Or other things that we teach can apply to your workplace. So this Monday, I'm going to be talking about dress deportment and professionalism. So the way you speak, the way you act, the way you dress. Because if I show up and I'm doing a showing for a client, I'm wearing sweatpants, I'm wearing a t-shirt, I'm just like, yeah, this room's good, this room's nice. I'm slouched over, right? People aren't going to respect that. But if you show up like Aftab every single day, suit, tie, shows up, speaks to people, even if it's his friends, like, oh, I'm showing my friend a property, I'm still going to speak professionally. No, like, yes, this room is really nice for these reasons. This property is good for these reasons, right? You show up professional. You show up taking care of yourself, taking care of your health, your hygiene, everything. You come all of it.
And it's a great conversation starter. I can't tell you, we live in suits. I literally cannot make this up. Every single day we're in suits, day to nighttime. And by the time we leave the office, it's like 8 or 9 o'clock. Then we go straight to the gym. The amount of times that this is a conversation starter. Hey, you guys go to different weddings every day? You guys look so sharp, man. No. We don't go to weddings.
We mean business.
We mean business, and
Yeah.
we're real estate agents.
Yeah.
It becomes a conversation starter, and
Yeah.
once you start conversations, guess what? People know exactly what you do. So especially if you're a real estate agent and will listen to this video or watching this podcast, dress to impress. Literally from day one in my real estate career, I swear to God, I used to wear, like, the number one expense that I ever paid originally when I had no money was to make sure I dressed the part. Always. It got me in front of the biggest developers, got me in front of all the best clients I could possibly ask for, because they knew this guy is professional. They're looking to work with someone that takes the time and care into his own representation. He represents himself well. He can represent us even better.
And you never know what's gonna go on. I could show up in sweats one day because I'm like, you know what, I have nothing planned, but you never know where the day's gonna take you. This happens to us all the time, where we show up in suits and we're like, thank God we're dressed up, because we end up going to events or places where we meet key people that we're glad we were dressed up for.
And you got the confidence to do it all, right? So if you have the confidence when you're wearing a suit, you feel a certain type of way.
Yeah,
It brings your mindset into something else, so you know exactly, all right, you know what? I can handle this. I'm that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and once you have that mind frame, people also know. They see you in suits every day. You're not here playing around. Other agents know that, okay, this guy's a serious guy in business. I want to do business with him, right? So they are already knowing about you prior to you even entering the conversation. That helps you with the sale.
Yeah, and top of that, like when you look good, you feel good, and you do better.
Yeah.
Exactly. When you feel, I think feeling good is everything. And another part about looking good is taking care of your health. Like you don't have to be extremely jacked with a six pack, but if you're out of shape, a suit's not going to do anything for you. If your stomach's hanging out of your suit, that's not going to do anything for you, right? Being in shape is a big thing. If you look healthy, if you look good, you feel a lot better.
Yeah.
A man makes the clothes. The clothes don't make the man.
Facts. You can buy a lot of clothes to make you look good, like you said. The main thing is you can't buy a good body.
You can't.
You gotta
That's
work
something
on
you
it.
can't cheat,
You
right?
gotta work on it.
You can go to school, but you can't buy class.
Okay, all right. This is a long podcast, so let's wrap it up. Harsimran, give one last final point for all.
Final thoughts, views,
Final
share
thoughts.
anything you want off your top of your dome.
Final thoughts. If you're a first time home buyer, don't think, just do it. Find the right team. Don't think too much. I have to wait for this. So interest rates are too high, prices are too high. Just do it. Talk to the right people.
For me, timing is everything. Timing can be on your side or against you. You choose which side of the coin you want to be on. If you're someone that's looking to get started, I say get started yesterday. Today's already too late. So get invested, get started, learn, be more knowledgeable, but take risks. I keep saying take risks. Take damn risks. You'll thank yourself later.
Yeah, I would say educate yourself. Even if you're on the fence, go talk to a realtor, go talk to your mortgage. You never know what opportunity might come to you.
Exactly. If you think about it, ask about it, and if you learn something, then execute on
And
it.
then be about it.
That's exactly it. All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. So you can follow everyone on socials. What are your socials? Throw them out there.
They're going to be down in the link below because we have an awesome editor, so we don't have to talk about it. But for any of the socials, you have all our socials down below. Harsimran's, mine's, Harjeet's, and Aftab's. Anybody, we're all social people. We are literally on Instagram Live, sharing our journey, sharing our content. So please make sure you follow, like, subscribe. And as always, thank you guys for tuning in. Sayonara. Peace. Namaste. See you all for the next podcast.
Take care, guys.